Welcome back everybody to another Brojo video. This one is on the value of acceptance. As I mentioned, as part of a series of little videos I'll be doing about different values to help everybody understand what they are, how to live by them, and then of course rewrite them for yourselves. So acceptance is really tricky one for many people to live by. It's one of my biggest weaknesses. And what is acceptance? Acceptance is when your understanding of the world aligns with reality. When you see what is real and you come to terms with it. And you let go of all the fantasies and the untruths that you've been clinging to that do not line up with reality, that have no evidence to support them. Okay? Acceptance. How do you know when you need acceptance? When you experience emotions like frustration, guilt, regret and remorse, impatience, stress, grief. You know, Eckhart Tolle often talks about the idea that stress is being here when you want to be there. And this really speaks to the idea of acceptance. Acceptance is understanding that here is the only thing that exists. The there in your mind is actually a form of lacking acceptance. It's clinging to a reality that you made up that doesn't exist here and now. So whenever you're feeling frustration and stress and guilt, it's telling you it's time to start looking for a way that you can become more accepting of your situation. And these emotions we often mistake as a trigger to try and change something, when often the first thing we need to do is accept the things that we cannot change. So what does it mean to live by this value? One of the ways that I've learned to describe it is it's like lying back and floating in the ocean. Rather than fighting against the waves and struggling not to drown or being upset that you're stuck in the ocean and that you're at risk, acceptance is about just lying back and floating until you come to terms with the fact that you're in the ocean before you take any action to try and remedy the situation. It's the calm before the storm. It comes before you focus on what you can change. Acceptance is everything that lies outside the line of what you can change. It's understanding what that stuff is, coming to terms with it before you focus on the bits that you can actually influence. You create a space for reality to occur to you. You do whatever it needs to happen, a silence, a stop, a pause of some kind, to just let your mind catch up to reality. Now the biggest enemy, the biggest barrier that you're going to face to this happening is your fantasy. Or should I say your fantasies. You're constantly in your mind predicting and creating and fictionalizing a reality that does not exist. This is an ability that helps you a lot. This is the kind of thing you can use for planning, you can use for simulation, you can even practice things inside your mind without needing to do it in real life. A helpful tool. Where it becomes unhelpful is when we cling to those fictions and think that they are more real than what is real. And that's where acceptance fails. So in order for acceptance to happen, you need to kill your fantasies. I've already made a whole video about this, which I'll try and post in the comments below here. But the main element of that is to take an action that somehow destroys the fantasy for you. For example, if I have a fantasy that a girl might like me, I can destroy that by asking her out, because I find out one way or the other. If I have recently for me dealing with acceptance, I had the fantasy that it would only take me a month to adjust to my new life in the Czech Republic, and for me to achieve acceptance was to see that I was struggling. So to just feel struggling, to feel frustration, to talk about it with my girlfriend, killed the fantasy that it was only going to take a month to adjust, because that provided evidence that it's taking a lot longer than that. So how do we live by the value of acceptance? What are some practical ways to do this? Because this is where it gets really tricky for this particular value. Journaling. Writing down an account of the evidence that you see for what is real, including your thoughts and feelings about the evidence, so that you come to terms with what's real and you can distinguish that from fantasy, from the should happen and could happen and I wish and I hope, to what is real. Just writing about it, narrating it, creating a third-person perspective. And you don't need to just use journaling to do this. You can talk to other people. What do they think is real? What is this person? People you respect and admire and trust, ask them what do they believe is real, and compare that to your own fantasy. so you can start adjusting and accepting evidence from other people. Staying still and silent. Just meditating, being still, not filling your mind with Facebook scrolling or mindless television or endless busyness, but taking time out every day, 10, 15, 20 minutes. You can make that amount of time to just be still and silent. There is no real rules to how you meditate. It just means you stop doing shit and you pay attention. That's it. Being still and silent, paying attention to the thoughts and fantasies you're having, paying attention to what's real, getting back to reality. So I hope that helps you. Acceptance is a very difficult one to live by. It takes a lot of training to just accept reality as it is, because our brain constantly fantasizes and hallucinates about different alternative realities that don't exist. But once you start living more with acceptance, you can apply that to yourself and come to understand you're only human. There's the ideal version of yourself that you fantasize about doesn't exist. There's only the real version of yourself, and there is a small part of that you can influence. But before you try and figure out what that part is, come to terms with all the parts you cannot. I hope that helps you, and I'll see you guys next time. Cheers.